Gojo versus Shadow. Two of some of the strongest characters in their own verses. But today, we're going to find out which one of these two is stronger against each other. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Keep in mind, these are only their anime version, not light novel and not manga, only anime. So for any of you that want to criticize me for getting some things wrong or saying that this should be this and this should be that, no he doesn't have this and no he doesn't have that. These are just the anime versions. I'm not counting manga or light novel because I haven't read them and I don't know, and there are quite a bunch of people that have not read the light novel or manga, so keep that in mind. Now, let's go over Gojo's and Shadow's abilities. First, Gojo. He has Limitless, 6 eyes, Curse Technique Blue, Curse Technique Reversal Red, Unlimited Void, and Purple. Gojo also has some pretty insane martial arts skills, making him pretty much invincible in his world, which is why he's given the title Strongest Sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, Shadow's abilities. He has Slime, I Am Atomic, Longevity, Apparently Luck, and Magic, plus martial arts skills and superhuman strength and speed. Even though that may be less than Gojo's abilities, I think Shadow could still hold his own against Gojo. But let's see what would happen if these two were to actually go one-on-one with each other. Now, if these two were to fight one-on-one, here's how it would look. Shadow would probably underestimate Gojo at first, so he would go easy on him. Then Gojo would probably want to end the fight as quickly as possible. So first he uses Blue. It aims it straight at Shadow. Shadow would probably use the slime to block it. Then Shadow would use his slime to attack Gojo. Gojo would use Infinity to stop the slime from actually touching him. Shadow would realize that Gojo is using an ability to prevent his slime from attacking him. Then Shadow would play around and figure out how Gojo is using his ability and what it truly is. Gojo would be very wary of him because he realizes that Shadow is trying to figure out how Infinity works. Over the course of the battle, Shadow finds some hints on how Infinity works and how Gojo uses it. Shadow realizes that he would need a powerful attack strong enough to break through Infinity. So then Shadow, who realizes or gets the hang of how Infinity works, attacks Gojo with some stronger attacks. Realize that they do nothing in the same situation, ends up as last time where his attacks never really reach Gojo. Gojo uses Red, Shadow dodges, then Gojo uses Curse Technique Purple. Shadow realizes that that is a very dangerous technique, barely dodges out of the way in time. Then Shadow, who really just wants to end things now because he realizes that Gojo might be a bit of a handful for him, decides to go all out and use Atomic to beat Gojo. But right before Shadow lands Atomic, Gojo uses Unlimited Void and catching Shadow off guard, making him cancel Atomic. And then Gojo tries to sneak up on Shadow, but Shadow, very aware of his surroundings, catches Gojo and stops him from attacking him. But his efforts were in vain because Gojo eventually gets a drop on Shadow with his domain expansion and puts a hole right through him, killing Shadow. Gojo thinks Shadow is dead, but Shadow revives himself once Gojo thinks that he's been defeated. Shadow comes back from the dead and decides to stop playing with Gojo. Shadow decides not to underestimate Gojo anymore and decides to take him seriously and decides not to play around with any more games. He uses
What did you say, nigga?
Atomic, and before Gojo can react to use Unlimited Void again, Shadow has a clone of himself behind Gojo, preventing him from using Unlimited Void. And while Gojo is distracted, Shadow uses Atomic, blasts a whole bunch of the city, catching Gojo in the crossfire, which would be an attack powerful enough to beat Gojo and cut through Infinity, damaging him, but not killing him. And then Shadow, with no mercy, pulls out his sword and cuts Gojo straight down the middle. But that doesn't kill Gojo. Gojo comes back to life using the power of his 6 eyes. Shadow realizes that he must kill Gojo by slicing his head off because Gojo tells Shadow how his technique works. So Shadow tries to use a new move that has not been seen before. Keep in mind, we have not seen Shadow's full power yet. Shadow uses a never before seen move, catches Gojo off guard, and before Gojo knows it, his head is cut off. And with Gojo having his head cut off, the fight is over. Shadow wins, Gojo loses.
What the fuck? What's wrong with you?
I know the ending was kind of rushed, but To be honest, I've had to do so many takes of this, and my voice is honestly getting tired of talking, so I just want to put in kind of like a scenario-wise of how I think the fight would go. Now, this is just my guess, honestly, so even if the fight didn't go exactly like that, there would definitely be some similar points to it if they were to actually fight. And more than likely, Shadow would probably beat Gojo because, well, their universes have two different types of power scaling, and Shadow's universe just far surpasses Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo's top speed is just Shadow's normal running speed. Gojo's strength is just the average strength of a fighter in Eminence of Shadow, at least from my knowledge. But I hope you guys enjoyed this scenario. Like, comment, and subscribe if you did. Please tell me if there's anything I could do to make it more accurate, or if I'm wrong, or anything like that, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you.